There are many words that get used to describe me. As you can probably guess, I've seen most of them in the YouTube comments, but one particularly rubs a certain type of person up the wrong way. And it's strange because it's a rather complimentary word. And this word has been on my mind this week. Expert. Am I an EFL Championship expert? Should you think of me as one? Dare you call me one? Dare I refer to myself as one? Let me know your thoughts down there in the comments. But I want to get into this. Why am I making this video? Because it's come up a couple of times recently. Once in a thread that I don't particularly want to revisit on the Ipswich Town forum. Those were the days. There's a lot of nice things said about me on there, but there's some not very nice things as well. And it popped up on my Twitter feed the other day. I had a lovely chat with Hal from the Sheffield United Way, and he very kindly tweeted out the video. And I've got it up in front of me there. It says, EFL expert Benjamin Bloom speaks about the Blades. So Hal has obviously been very nice there. And he's been very journalistic because he's got EFL expert and it's kind of alliterative. And, you know, I kind of focus on the championship. So he's gone for the pithy title there. And you would think most people would just watch the video and see what we were saying. But this reply here is from Rock and Roller Blade. Why is he an expert? Who did he play for or manage or assist or even just put the cones out for in the championship? What's his coaching badges or expertise? All valid questions, I guess. Hal actually leapt to my defence and said, I never realised that to be a jockey, you had to be a horse first. Arrigo Sark. He's kind of being sarcastic, trying to diffuse it. But Rock and Roller Blade is coming back. Don't you worry about that. Yeah, that's bang the same. Not. He's never been and never will be an expert. Just cause he set up a channel and self-proclaimed, and then he's done the dough emoji there. So that's why I'm making this video. And on the TWTD thread, I think the comment about me was, if this guy positions himself as an expert, he should go to all of Ipswich Town's away matches. Another theory you can discuss down there in the comments. I'll be here all day if I discuss that. Now, normally when we're in debates, disagreements, conversations, it is often people just kind of flexing over the definition or the meaning of words and failing to or otherwise agree on the meaning of words. But it's always good to start with the definition of expert to decide whether I am one or I am not one. And this is from Oxford Languages. Just Googled it. I did one search. That was it. A person who is very knowledgeable about or skillful in a particular area. I didn't just go or because I'm trying to be entertaining here on YouTube, but it doesn't say and. So it doesn't say a person who is very knowledgeable about and skillful in a particular area. It says or. So I don't want to stop the video now, but according to that definition, I might be an expert in the EFL Championship if I'm very knowledgeable about it. And I will leave it up to you to decide whether I am very knowledgeable about it. I've certainly spent a lot of time watching and enjoying it, but that's not for me to say. I think the key thing there is, let me pose this as a question. Does skill or practical knowledge trump study or learned knowledge? I'll use the example of a guy I used to listen to a lot, Mark Kermode, the film reviewer, who is obviously hugely successful and famous, and lots of people take his advice on whether they want to watch a movie or not, or after they've watched the movie, check in with Mark Kermode to see what he thinks. But Mark Kermode does not have practical knowledge in directing movies. So it's an interesting debate, isn't it? And do you know what? I actually have Sam Parkin on my YouTube channel doing the championship check-in because, and you can tell me whether it's a higher level of knowledge or credibility or a different viewpoint, but I like to think that Sam can most definitely bring something that I can't, because I've never been in a dressing room. I've never put the cones out or managed or assistant managed a championship. Very narrow in his. It's not that I could be an ex-player, so I don't think Sam meets his criteria, because Sam didn't do management despite playing hundreds of games, scoring tons of goals. And I think the thing people like me miss, particularly if you want to talk about expertise, is just I've never been in a training session. The language used, the way teams are built. I've never been in a team talk. I've never been there after a team has lost or after a team has won. And Sam Parkin has. So I'm really pleased to have him on the channel. There's a question. Is Sam Parkin an expert? I mean, Sky Sports put him in as the co-coms on a lot of big games, so they probably assume he does, and he's there for his experience and other things as well that we will get onto. So, do I have practical skill as a football manager, coach, or football player? No. Do I have learned knowledge about the championship? Yeah. Have I seen lots of games? Can I stick a free kick in the top corner from 30 yards over a wall past a pro keeper in the rain? Nope. Can I describe that happening and give my view on that in a entertaining and hopefully insightful way? Maybe. Again, not for me to say. So why is it that people get triggered by me being called an expert? And would you believe I actually get triggered by me being called an expert? And this is what it's like in the... what did Elon Musk say about you don't want to be in this brain? It's like a thunderstorm or something in there. This is the thunderstorm of my brain, where I'll go and do a show and someone will call me an expert. And I'll immediately be going, oh, God. That means someone's now going to say, he's not an expert. He never played the game. He's just a YouTuber. Rah-de-rah-de-rah. And I think fan media has exaggerated this, because, let's be honest, people have trusted journalists for years, haven't they? And what qualifications do journalists have that YouTubers don't? Well, they might have, have a journalism qualification. And in case Rock and Roller Blade didn't know, I have a journalism qualification from Harlow College, an NCTJ certificate. How about that? Whether that's any relevance as to whether I can make this video or not. And YouTube doesn't check whether I've got that qualification when I go to upload, by the way. But journalists were trusted for years. But are they experts? Is it skillful in the area or just a learned knowledge? I think there's also a status thing here. And I often refer to this book, The Status Game by Will Storr, which gives a very good explanation of how status hierarchies work and how basically status gives you influence and resources. And I can see how it's quite triggering for someone with Blade and a picture of Chris Wilder in their thing, that they're not getting asked to talk to Hal on the Sheffield United way. This guy is. So I may not have the resources. Go figure, talking about the championship doesn't make you rich. It's not my full-time job. But maybe I've got more influence there. And maybe that gives what's described as a unfavourable social comparison. It's like, I'd like to do that. I think I can do that. That guy's getting to do that. I don't like him. He's not an expert. Bang, 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 etc., etc. So there's that side to it as well. Sometimes in life, when someone's coming at you, it's not you who's got the issue. Sometimes it can be them. Do you need to be an expert to do what I do? Well, I don't think so. No. And I had a great conversation with David Prutton, the face of Sky Sports Championship coverage, about this, about the different types of pundits. And David was actually very big on the mix of pundits, that he wanted someone charismatic. He wanted someone sober and kind of data-led. And he wanted, maybe someone in between the two or what have you, maybe an ex-player from the specific team. But he said it was all about the mix. And to flip the question, does everybody who's played the game, does everybody who's played the game, put the cones out, and is, quote, an expert with a skill in this area, does that automatically make them good at what I do? Because, and I work with some wonderful people when I was producing the experts at the EFL show on ITV, but some of them hadn't done their homework, let's just say. Some of them knew far less about what we were talking about than I did. And okay, you can argue that the whole thing with that show was we were turning around to talk about 72 teams with basically 3 or 4 hours of notice between games finishing at 5 o'clock and the show going live at 9 o'clock. So you can argue there wasn't an expertise gap there. There was a, right, cram, get this guy to help. He can point them in the right direction of what to say when we're watching a clip of Burton Albion versus Morecambe or whatever. So, yeah, you can flip the question. Anyway, do I think I'm an expert? Now, this is the big spoiler, the big swerve at the end of this. No, I think I actually agree with the bloke here in respects of I more go down the credibility and skill in a particular area. So if you put me and Sam Parkin at the same football match, he's probably going to see it on a different level than me. Where this guy, and a lot of people do this wrong on the internet, they have half a point and then they talk too much, is really objectively wrong, is just because he set up a channel and self-proclaimed. Now, there are thousands of hours of me talking on the internet. Go on, I challenge you, go and find 1 second of me claiming I'm an expert on the EFL Championship or football at large. I would never, ever do that. And if you can find something close, I will happily disavow it now. I am not an expert on football. I am a fan. I am an enthusiast. And where I may have expertise is to be able to maybe enthusiastically communicate ideas and to take pain and just hang in there, right? I'm the one who's made hundreds and hundreds of videos with no views, no views, no views, a few views, some views, you know, a lot of views sometimes. Maybe that's my expertise, and to take criticism and, you know, haranguing from people along the journey. Maybe that's my expertise, not football. So in some ways, I agree with the guy. I do value people who have a skill in a particular area, but that doesn't mean I'm going to discount anything anybody else says who doesn't have that. And whether you think I'm an expert or not is irrelevant here, because this is kind of about freedom of speech and about freedom of ideas. And I'll round this out by quoting the great Bryan Cranston, who played Walter White in Breaking Bad, who brilliantly told the story of when he's on Seinfeld. They've got the sketch. The sketch is written by Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David, the greatest writers on the most successful comedy show on American TV. But during the rehearsal, the guy hanging the lights, pointing the lights, so not a writer, not an actor, says, "Why don't you try this?" Bryan Cranston goes, "That's hilarious." And he does it. It goes in the sketch. The sketch is iconic. And somebody who clearly wasn't an expert had a great idea. They articulated it and it made a difference. So, does it matter a hoot if I'm an expert? Absolutely not. Now, I would normally link one of my videos at the end here, but why not check out the great Bryan Cranston on the Rich Eisen podcast, proving you don't have to be an expert to make a difference.